Hi, everybody. My name is Gloria Moraga. This is Political News. I am here on Wednesday. And you know what? I was watching that live dude last night, the one that's crazy. He's got like political psycho or something. I'm not quite sure what his name is. I'll look it up tonight. But he figured out that, I'm going to turn off my light. He figured out that it's 9 months to the election. It is 9 freaking months to the election. So we've got things to do. We have got work to do. So I'm going to share certain 3 videos today with you in this live. And I'm going to start with this. Take a look. I'll go to the screen, and then that way I can get rid of this. Trump administration live updates. President says he ordered 700 agents to leave Minnesota. And this is from the New York Times, but it's in other publications. And there they are. Like, who do they think they are? I mean, it's like, I just don't know from minute to minute. What the hell? So, yeah. You think he's doing this out of the goodness of his heart? No way. No way. And I woke up this morning to Tom Homan having his press conference and saying the same thing he was saying. I think he said that there were more than 700 going to leave. But, yeah, this is going on. As is, and you guys know that I am my area of political expertise, although I covered everything when I worked in Washington. But I always felt that my area was, Capitol Hill was the Congress. So when I'm doing these videos and doing stuff now with you guys, I kind of feel like I know what's going on in Congress. And I got the chat up. I don't know if anybody's jumping on or seeing this because I don't have any plan. I just come on. I have had the worst couple of days. My C drive, my main drive on my big computer, on my computer that I edit on, kept not crashing, but getting full. And I did have some crashes when I was in the middle of editing. And so I took it into the shop to the Geek guy. It's not Geek Squad, but it's these geek guys. And they've still got it. And so I'm working off my laptop right now, and I had to redo everything because I haven't even used the laptop in a couple of months. And so here I am. Hi, thanks for being here. And as people are joining, I'll just take a minute to ask everybody to please subscribe, please like. Thanks for the hearts. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to grow my channel, trying to gear up, because you know how long it takes to make a baby. 9 months. That's how long we've got. We've got 9 months before the big elections, the elections of 2026, the congressional elections. So I shared this earlier. Trump administration pulling out some troops out of Minnesota. I want to look at this, you guys, and say, woohoo! That's us. That's us. Not us mainly, but not me mainly, but the people of Minnesota and others for fighting back and not letting these people trample all over people. So this was good news. And, I said when I first started out, I mean, he's not doing this out of the goodness of his heart. He's doing this because there's backlash. He's doing it because he's got unpopular poll numbers. And, he lies. He's a big liar. And, when he goes on and on, I'm turning my light back on just in case. He's not doing this out of the goodness of his heart. There's stuff going on. So that's why he's pulling down some troops. But, Holman says they're still going to be there. They're still going to, be tough. So what I was going to do for this live shot was share with you, and I'll post the whole live shot. So all of these videos will be available. I'm going to share 3 videos with you. Now, a couple of them I put, I did shorts on yesterday, and I explained the reason that I didn't go live yesterday, because I'm trying to go live every day so that I can grow the channel, and please subscribe. is because my computer crashed, my big computer, and I on my laptop, and it took me forever to try to figure out like how to go live here. So so bear with me. But I've got videos, and I shared some shorts yesterday. So I'm gonna play, but the whole videos from a testimony yesterday on Capitol Hill. Now, Republicans are in charge of the Congress. So there can't be hearings, there can't be congressional hearings unless the party that's in charge, sanctions those hearings and sets up those hearings. Well, they're not doing it for some of these hearings that the Democrats want to have. So they call them shadow hearings. That's the only reason. They call them shadow because they're doing them without the full light of the leadership shining on them. And also, these hearings yesterday and the testimony was heart-wrenching. Not one Republican showed up. And the two people that really broke my heart were there's no crying in politics. Two people who really broke my heart were the two brothers of Renee Good. And I have not included them in this live shot, but I did post them, so they're on my shorts feed. So please take a look. So I'm going to start with the lady who, I hate to describe her as the disabled lady, but she kind of described herself that way. She was the lady who yelled at the ICE agents when they started pulling her out of her car, "I'm disabled, I'm disabled." And then I learned when I was watching the hearing yesterday that one of them said "too late" or something. And here's the thing. She was just driving to the doctor. She was just going to one of her appointments at the doctor. And when they pulled her over, she tried not to go down that street. She didn't have another option. So she wasn't even trying to raise a ruckus. I heard Marco Rubio said that once, and then I started saying a lot, and now I'm saying it all the time. She didn't want to get in trouble. She didn't want to cause any trouble. But they yanked her out of her car and treated her like an animal. And it's not right. So her name is Aliya Rahman, and she's disabled. And I wrote "dragged by ICE." This happened on January 13th. That's my mom's birthday, so that's how I remember that too. And here's the first soundbite. Here we go.
I am Daniel Rascon, a 23-year-old.
My name is Marimar Martinez. I am a first-generation Mexican American. As a survivor of this administration actions, as an advocate for those who do not have a voice, those that are pleading for justice, living in fear, and those who are asking for meaningful change and accountability. I come from a beautiful family full of immigrants. I am proud of my roots. I am born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, where I learned the values of resilience, community, respect, love, and hope. Those lessons have shaped me since childhood and continue to guide me through my adult life. On October 4, 2025, those values were tested when my life was nearly taken by my own government. This testimony is my attempt to give voice to an experience that we're struggling to hold, but silence cannot justify. On Saturday, October 4, 2025, I woke up tired but committed to doing the fall cleaning I promised myself I would do that day. After 2 hours, I had successfully filled an entire bag of good quality clothes and shoes I wanted to take to donate to my local church. After a quick shower and a cup of coffee, I put the bag of clothes in the back of my car and headed towards the church.
These four men then tried forcing their way into
As I was
our
getting
car
close to the
by
church,
pulling
I
on the
noticed
handles,
SUV
pounding
that
on the
appeared
windows
to
and
be
yelling at us to
similar
roll
to the
down the
Border
windows,
Patrol
all while
vehicles
failing
that
to
had been
answer our
invading
repeated
the
requests for their
Hispanic neighborhood.
identification and what they
In the
wanted.
previous week,
I did not know who these
I
men
got a
were. They
quiet
were
but
refusing to
firm sense
identify
that something
themselves.
wasn't
The
right.
only thing I felt I could do
As I
to
passed
control
the
was
vehicle,
capturing
I
this
noticed
event
an
by recording
overlight
it on my cell phone.
in the front
There were
windshield.
two men
No
on
front
either
plate
side of the
as
car,
required
and
in
they were not
Illinois.
wearing any uniform.
An
I could not
out-of-state
tell who
license
these men
plate in the
surrounded
back.
by with guns were.
I then noticed
We
a
again
uniformed
asked
Border
them to show
Patrol agent in the
identification and why
vehicle.
they were
As a
approaching us with so
30-year-old
much
U.S.
aggression.
citizen with no
Only
criminal
seconds after
history,
they started
I
pounding on the
believed that I
windows,
had
one of the men
nothing to
broke
worry
his
about.
driver's side window,
But I was
punched
concerned for my
Francisco in the
friends,
face,
neighbors,
and
based
began
on the
reaching into the car
well-publicized incidents
time, a man on the
involving
other side
Border
of the
Patrol
car
agents in our
broke
community
the
over the
passenger
past
window
few
where
weeks,
Jonathan was
arresting
sitting and
anyone
began
with brown
reaching into the
skin for
vehicle.
no legitimate law
They shattered the
enforcement
windows,
reasons.
and in that moment,
For the next
the whole
15
world
to
felt
20
like
minutes,
it was the
I
size
followed these
of the
Border
inside of
Patrol
a
agents
kitchen.
through my neighborhood,
And we were sitting
honking
in
my
harm's
horn,
way with
shouting
nothing
out
to
La
do
Migra,
but record the horrifying
to warn my
exchange.
neighbors about the
Terrified for our
presence of
lives,
these agents
this
who have been terrorizing our community over the past few
excuse
weeks.
me, Francisco bravely drove
As I
straight
did
through the
my
only open pathway
neighbors
down the street,
standing on the
hoping
porches
to be
and
driving
sidewalks,
towards
joined
safety.
in
And
on
we
this
were instead
spontaneous
met with
life alert
gunfire.
system and began setting off
After we
their
had passed
car
the lane,
alarms
one
to
of the
warn
four
other
men
neighbors.
attempted to murder us after we passed
As the
by.
Border Patrol
As he
vehicle
fired, we
turned
made
on
contact with
Kedzie
the
Avenue,
passenger side
I
of our car
continued to
multiple
beat
times.
my horn and
I
warn
will
my
never forget
community.
the fear and having to quickly duck my
As we
head as the
approached the
shots were fired at
intersection
the
of
car.
39 and Kedzie, my
Any one of those
vehicle
bullets
was
could
2
have
to
killed
3
me
feet to the
or
left
two
of the
people
Border
that I
Patrol
love.
vehicle. He started
We
to swerve
narrowly
into my
escaped
lane
with
as he
pieces of
was
glass
driving.
shot on our heads as we
I
drove
made
down
eye
the bumpy
contact with
road.
the driver of the Border Patrol
3 minutes
vehicle
changed our
and
lives
watched as he
forever.
turned the
The
steering wheel
incident
once
began at
again
8:49
to his
a.m.
left
and we were
and
home by
sideswiped my
8:52
vehicle.
a.m. We
I
left home
immediately
that morning
froze,
with
slammed
the
on the
truck in
brakes,
good
and stopped
condition,
my
but when we
car.
returned home,
The Border Patrol vehicle stopped just to 1 to 2 car lengths ahead of me. It seemed like time stopped. I knew from watching the news coverage of other Border Patrol encounters in Chicago that I was in danger. I watched the vehicle of Border Patrol
we were
agent
home
killing
by
Silverio
8:52
Villegas
a.m. Left
Gonzalez
that morning with the
just
truck
3
in good
weeks
condition,
prior.
but we returned home
I knew I
with
had to
except
get
the
to
heavily
safety
shattered
before I
windows
was dragged
and
from my
bullet
car
holes.
and likely
We then
beaten or
called
killed.
911 to report that 4
I
men
drove
who were
forward and
hiding
went
behind
around the
enemies
Border Patrol agent
assaulted
who
and
jumped
shot
out
at
of
us.
his car and
By 9
pointed his
a.m.,
gun
a
at
police
me.
helicopter was
I
flying over
moved
our
to the far
property.
left lane,
Next thing we
striking
know,
the curb
local
on the
officers
far
showed
left
up at
side
our
of
home,
Kedzie.
handcuffed Francisco,
The next
put
thing
him
I
in the
knew,
officer's
I
car,
felt a burning
and began
sensation
individually
in my
questioning
arms,
us.
legs, and that I had been
Officers then
shot by
allowed the
pepper
same 4
balls,
men who had just attacked us
which
to
I
come
also
to our
seen
home.
these agents
Those
fire
4
at
men
people in
were
our
asked to
community.
identify who they were looking for, but
As
they
I
had zero
continued
idea
to
as to
drive
who they were
past the
even
Border
targeting.
Patrol agents, I could hear my back
Pointing
passenger
to me as the driver,
window
these
shatter,
masked men
and I
just
felt
shot at
bullets
us, and they
continue
were
to
now
pierce
in
my
our
body.
home, treating us as the
As I
people who had
attempted
done
to
something
drive
wrong.
to a safe
The man who
location,
shot at us
I
went to
began
my
to feel
future
lightheaded.
brother-in-law,
I looked
asked him
down and I
questions about
noticed
the
blood
video
gushing
because
out
of
of
the
my
attack,
arms and
and
legs,
lied, saying
and I
those were not
realized
shots.
I've been shot
When the
multiple
officers
times.
left our home almost 3 hours later,
As
we were
I
told that
became
the
lightheaded, I
FBI would
became
continue the
worried I will pass
investigation.
out and endanger other
However, almost
drivers on the
immediately after
road.
the officers left our home, 2 men walked
I
out
managed
up to our gate
to
and told
drive
us
a
to let
mile
them in.
from where the
We could
incident
immediately tell this was
happened,
not the
and I
FBI.
So that is so powerful. And I noticed that there was some audio lag. I don't know what, if it's because of I don't know. But I hope that that didn't take away from your watching her and feeling the pain I felt for her, which is, we'll just make it clear here. She's an American citizen. All 3 people, all 3 sound bites that I'm using in this live shot, all 3 are American citizens. So we'll put aside the lie that the Trump regime has been spewing, that they're just going after the worst of the worst, and they're just going after the killers and the rapists, when we know the little 5-year-old boy, Liam, is not the worst of the worst. They treated him horribly. They're not going after the worst of the worst. And here's what I contend and what I say every time I get a chance. If they were arresting the worst of the worst, we'd have press conferences every day, and they'd be pulling these people out and showing us their pictures and saying, this is this person and this is that person. You notice how they're not doing that? So it's important to listen to this, in that today, Democrats started squawking about how they have 2 weeks before they figure out what they're going to do with the ICE budget. And Republicans, of course, want full funding for the ICE budget. And I have said here on this channel repeatedly, the ICE has money. They have a budget already in the big, ugly bill, big, beautiful, ugly bill. There's money in there for ICE to run without any problem for the next 4 years. So, I think they should block this budget for this year, for this fiscal year. This fiscal year's over because they're late, like they're always late because Mike Johnson can't manage. This budget's over in the new fiscal year starts October 1st. So this is all just BS. So they need to block this funding. So, hi, I'm not quite sure who all is there. I do see hi, and I looked on and saw that we have a few people on. But it doesn't matter because we're going to post this whole video. I'm really sorry if you had an audio lag. We'll see how the next one looks. So the next one, next video that I'm going to play is the one from the lady who was shot 5 times. She was shot 5 times by an ICE agent. I mean, this happened in Chicago. And we're lucky that she didn't die. She didn't even know. She thought she was hit with pepper balls because she was running on adrenaline and wound up pulling into a nearby business and called 911 there. But then ICE tracked her down and they stalked her. And then her ICE agent that shot her kind of stalked her after that in like the weirdest, worst, creepiest way. These people are creepy. And he was sending text messages to other ICE agents about her and mocking her, just like this lady with a disability was mocked. I mean, they're not professional in any way whatsoever. They're not professional at all. I mean, we find out now that the 2 dudes that shot Alex Pretty weren't new. They'd been on the job for quite a while, but they are Border Patrol agents. And Border Patrol agents have totally different training and are not trained to be in inner cities and cities. They deal with people on the border, and that's why they're all so nasty and disgusting. God knows what they're doing to people down there, and nobody deserves this. So we're going to go to the next soundbite, and I will bring it up. I think I still have the other lady on, but I will stop her
Daniel
as soon
Rascon,
as
a 23
we come
year
up.
My name is Marimar
Stop her.
Martinez. I am a first-generation
I'm the eldest of 3
Mexican-American.
brothers and
As a
father to
survivor
a nearly
of this
3-week-old
administration
baby girl.
actions, as an
I operate
advocate
a forklift for work
those
and
who do
currently
not have a
my
voice,
CDLA
those that
license
are pleading for
and
justice,
dental
living in
assisting
fear, and those
certification.
who are asking for meaningful
I'm no
change
celebrity,
and
but I am loved by
accountability.
many in my
I
community, and
come
there are many
from
that
a
I love
beautiful
and I'm
family
thankful
full of
for.
immigrants. I am proud
The
of my
morning of
roots.
August
I am born
16,
and raised in Chicago,
2025
Illinois, where I
will
learned the
quickly
values
become
of
unforgettable,
resilience, community,
especially
respect,
because my
love,
future
and hope.
father-in-law, Francisco Longoria,
Those lessons
wanted
have
me to run
shaped
an
me
errand
since
with him
childhood and
and his
continue
son.
to guide me through my adult life. On October 4, 2025, those values were tested when my life was nearly taken by my own government. This testimony is my attempt to give voice to an experience that words struggle to hold, but silence cannot justify. On Saturday, October 4, 2025, I woke up tired but committed to doing the fall cleaning I promised myself I would do that day. After 2 hours, I had successfully filled an entire bag of good quality
I am
clothes and
Daniel
shoes
Rascon,
I
a
wanted to
23-year-old
take
U.S.
to donate to
citizen
my local
from
church.
SoCal.
After a quick
I'm
shower
the
and a
eldest of
cup
3
of
brothers
coffee,
and father
I
to
put
a
the
nearly
bag of
3-week-old
clothes in the back
baby girl.
of my car and headed towards the
I
church.
operate a forklift for work and currently have
As
my
I was getting
CDLA
close to the
license
church, I noticed
and
a
dental assisting
SUV
certification.
that appeared to be
I'm no
similar to the
celebrity,
Border
but I am
Patrol
loved by
vehicles
many
that
in my
had been
community.
invading our Hispanic neighborhood. In the previous week, I got a quiet but firm sense that something wasn't right. As I passed the vehicle, I noticed an overlight in the front windshield, no front plates as required in Illinois, an out-of-state license plate in the back. I then noticed a uniformed Border Patrol agent in the vehicle. As a 30-year-old USA citizen with no criminal history, I believed that I had nothing to worry about. But I was concerned for my friends, neighbors, based on the well-publicized incidents involving Border Patrol agents in our community over the past few weeks, arresting anyone with brown skin for no legitimate law enforcement reasons. For the next 15 to 20 minutes, I followed these Border Patrol agents through my neighborhood, honking my horn, shouting out "La Migra," to warn my neighbors about the presence of these agents who have been terrorizing our community over the past few weeks. As I did this, my neighbors standing on the porches and sidewalks joined in on this spontaneous life alert system and began setting off their car alarms to warn other neighbors. As the Border Patrol vehicle turned on Kedzie Avenue, I continued to beat my horn and warn my community. As we approached the intersection of 39th and Kedzie, my vehicle was 2 to 3 feet to the left of the Border Patrol vehicle. He started to swerve into my lane as he was driving. I made eye contact with the driver of the Border Patrol vehicle and watched as he turned the steering wheel once again to his left and sideswept my vehicle. I immediately froze, slammed on the brakes, and stopped my car. The Border Patrol vehicle stopped just 1 to 2 car lengths ahead of me. It seemed like time stopped. I knew from watching the news coverage of other Border Patrol encounters in Chicago that I was in danger. I watched the vehicle of Border Patrol agent killing Silverio Villegas Gonzalez just 3 weeks prior. I knew I had to get to safety before I was dragged from my car and likely beaten or killed. I drove forward and went around the Border Patrol agents, who jumped out of his car and pointed his gun at me. I moved to the far left lane, striking the curb on the far left side of Kedzie. The next thing I knew, I felt a burning sensation in my arms, legs, and that I had been shot by pepper balls, which I also seen these agents fire at people in our community. As I continued to drive past the Border Patrol agents, I could hear my back passenger window shatter, and I felt bullets continue to pierce my body. As I attempted to drive to a safe location, I began to feel lightheaded. I looked down and I noticed blood gushing out of my arms and legs, and I realized I'd been shot multiple times. As I became lightheaded, I became worried I would pass out and endanger other drivers on the road. I managed to drive a mile from where the incident happened, and I pulled into a parking lot of a mechanic shop, and I called 911. I told the 911 operator that Border Patrol agents had just shot me and I needed help. I recall some of the workers from the shop sitting me down in a chair as I was waiting for help, but I was losing this battle. I saw my life flash before me and slowly began to think this was the end for me. And before losing consciousness, the next thing I remember is the EMT putting me on a stretcher, taking me to the hospital. At the hospital, I remember seeing multiple agents standing around, watching me be treated for my wounds. My arms, legs, and chest were all wrapped in bandages. I had 7 bullet holes in my body. I remember the agents rushing the nurses to finish up so they could take me with them. I still felt dizzy. I was not able to fully process what had happened to me. After being at the hospital for less than 3 hours, I was discharged from the hospital and took custody of the FBI. As we left the hospital, I was escorted out through the back in a wheelchair. I observed over dozens of Border Patrol agents waiting outside the hospital. One of the agents came out to me with his cell phone and took a photograph of me. It was the same agent who had previously kept coming in and out my room, and I had to repeatedly tell him to leave. I told him I did not consent for him to photograph me, but he did not care. It still haunts me that this agent has my photo on his phone. Was this the agent that shot me? Was this a trophy for him? I was next taken to the FBI building for further processing because they rushed me out of the hospital so quickly the blood started soaking through the bandages. I heard the agents talking about how the jail will not accept me in this current condition. I begged the agents to take me to a different hospital to give me proper medical care. Seeing me stand in a pool of my own blood, they were concerned about my health. One of the kind FBI agents brought a bag of additional bandages and worked quickly to pour more dressings over my bloody bandages. The FBI agents agreed to take me to a different hospital where my wounds were treated again, and I received additional medical care before being released back into law enforcement. Before being released back to law enforcement custody the following day. The agents took me from the second hospital to the federal detention center in downtown Chicago. I had never even had a parking ticket before, and now I was sitting in federal detention center just for being the victim in a minor traffic accident. Things were surreal. The news in the jail that evening had my story and was being called a domestic terrorist. They said I quote-unquote rammed federal agents. I was in shock. If they only knew I was a month away from paying off my truck, and I would never intentionally damage my vehicle, much less be crazy enough to hit a law enforcement. On Friday, I was teaching the young children at the Montessori school, and we were singing and dancing and getting ready for spooky season, preparing fall activities to do the following week. And on Saturday, my own government was calling me a domestic terrorist, and I was in federal detention centers with the bullet holes all over my body. I went to court on Monday, and I met my attorney, Christopher Parenti. He told me the government was trying to have me kept in jail until the trial because they claimed I was a danger to the community. I told them I had never been in trouble before and that the government claims were all wrong. I looked around the courtroom and I recognized over dozens moms and dads from the Montessori school, along with my boss and most of my family members who came to support me. I heard my attorney tell the judge that he had received over 50 letters from the moms and dads from the kids, all describing me as caring, loving, empathetic teacher, the exact opposite of a domestic terrorist. I heard the government describe me as being armed, even though I knew my gun was always inside my snap-closed holster at the bottom of my purse, where I always kept it. The prosecutor told the judge there was no allegation that I have took the gun out my purse, but that did not stop DHS from continuing to say I was armed. During this incident, my attorney explained to the judge that I have a valid concealed carry license and that as a young woman living in Chicago, I carry a gun to protect me from danger. Thankfully, the judge quickly denied the government's detention request and released me on bond that day. Over the next 6 weeks, everything was surreal. I continued to work and teach my children, but knowing that I was under federal indictment and facing felony charges and potentially years in federal prison over a minor car accident where the other driver was at fault and attempted to kill me was terrifying. There was times where I did not believe this was all real, and then I would touch my bullet wounds and knew it was certainly real. Imagine waking up every morning, reliving this trauma. I would go to work each day to take care of my children. I knew my attorney was hard at work and exposing the lies of eyes. I knew the truth of what happened. The agent swerved into me. The agent shot me as I drove away from him. My attorney and his investigators found videos, evidence demonstrating the agents were lying. And I knew that no press release or tweet could ever trump the power of the truth. 2 weeks before the government dismissed all the charges in my case, I sat in federal court and watched from 20 feet away as the Border Patrol agent who attempted to kill me testified at a hearing. Agent Charles Exum. Charles Exum, my attempted executioner, was Charles Exum. I hope the government does not consider my use of his name here to be considered doxing. But I think it is important now that the truth is out of this case is exposed, that people know his name, Charles Exum. Exxon was in the courtroom testifying, attempting to weave a coherent story explaining why he took his vehicle that I allegedly rammed out of the secure FBI evidence garage and drove it back to Maine, where the Border Patrol on-site mechanic was ordered to buff out the damages of the vehicle. This was all done prior to me or my attorney having the ability to examine the vehicle. Because he did this, no expert witness will ever be able to prove that it was Exxon who swerved into my vehicle. Watching Charles Exxon testify made me sick to my stomach. I grew up revering law enforcement. Prior to this incident, I had great respect for local and federal law enforcement. I knew every day they put their lives on the lines to keep me safe, to keep the kids at my school safe. And I thought to keep everyone in our community safe. But seeing what ICE was doing in our community at this time changed my view of law enforcement. This administration has misled the American people by claiming it will focus on the quote-unquote worst of the worst, while their actions show otherwise. Evidence from these operations, including statements made under oath, reveals a pattern of misleading the public. The government told the people they were targeting the worst of the worst, but their actions demonstrated otherwise. They are not targeting the worst of the worst. They are targeting individuals who fit a certain profile, who simply have a certain accent, a non-white skin color, just like me. This raises serious concerns about fairness, discrimination, and abuse of authority. The lack of accountability for these actions is deeply troubling. We, the people, are tired of this misconduct and demand transparency and accountability. Seeing Charles Exxon sit in federal courtroom and lie about what happened that day completely eroded all my trust in law enforcement. I know just because Exxon is not telling the truth that I cannot hold that against all other law enforcement. But to be honest, I don't know if I will ever view law enforcement the same way again. As my attorney showed the court the disgusting text messages Exxon sent to his fellow Border Patrol buddies, literally bragging about how many times he shot me, I got sick to my stomach, seeing how a federal law enforcement officer would talk this way about shooting me, a woman who he swore into. Was both eye-opening and heartbreaking. Thankfully, I survived Exxon's attempted murder of me and was able to shine a light on his lies. But what about all the others who either did not survive or were not fortunate enough to have videos proving the agent's lies? I know deep down this was God's purpose in having me survive Exxon's 5 bullets. It was for this moment to happen so that the world could see these text messages, which were a window into the soul of the USA Border Patrol at this critical time in our country's history. 14 days after Exxon was confronted with his own disgusting text messages, my attorney called me with the wonderful news that the government was dismissing all my charges against me. We showed up in court later that day, and some of the same parents from the Montessori school who came to support me at my arraignment were there again, this time with tears in their eyes as they heard Judge Alexakis tell me I was free to go and the charges were dismissed with prejudice. I have learned that surviving the physical wound was only the beginning of this long and painful journey. The real battle started after. In the weeks that followed, I thought I would feel great, but still struggle. I struggle with the memories of the day, the initial swerving into me by Agent Exxon, the shots ringing out, and the burning sensation as the bullets ripped through my skin and body. The images of the puddles of blood dripping from my dressings, listening to FBI agents arguing about whether the jail will accept me in this condition. Later in federal prison, staring out through a small window looking out into Clark Street. As I struggle every day with the physical pain and the suffering. I cannot close my hand yet to hold the pen. I try to play with the children at my school, and I am in significant pain as I attempt to do things I was easily able to do before October 4. I attend weekly physical therapy sessions to work on these issues and hope one day I can move in the same way I was able to move prior to October 4. I know that what happened to me in the matter of seconds on October 4 will unfortunately be with me for a lifetime. The physical scars will always be there in the mornings and evenings when I get dressed and I stare at my body, now permanently disfigured by the 5 lead bullets Exxon fired into me. They will be there this summer when I head to the beach with my dogs and family. They will be there when I get down on the floor with my students and work with them on their motor skills. And perhaps even worse, the mental scars will always be there as a reminder of the time my own government attempted to execute me, and when they fell, they chose to vilify me. I am Renee Good. I am Alex Preddy. I am Silverio Villegas Gonzalez. I am Keith Porter. They should all be here today. I know each of them would trade my bullet wounds and lifetime of mental distress and a heartbeat to be able to be back with their loved ones this afternoon. And we must also remember the countless other souls who lost their lives at the hands of these entrusted with authority. I know I know that by being a survivor, it is my duty to be here today to let you elected officials know what is happening on the streets of our country, because silence is no longer an option. This needs to stop now. Why do we continue to wait for more public executions when we have already seen the evidence in our TVs and computer screens? We have heard the testimonies. We have watched the pain unfold in real time. How many more lives must be lost before meaningful action is taken? The United States is and will always be a country of immigrants, built by immigrants. We are a country of love and tolerance. This is the land of the free, the land of the opportunity, and the great nation that people around the world aspire to call home. And prior to this recent war on immigrants, we were a country where law enforcement acted lawfully and appropriately, with respect of all human life. I am happy to see people of different nationalities speak up. This is the spirit of love, unity, and courage. This will make America great. I am asking you today, pleading with you, to please help bring back the America I grew up loving and idolizing. In America that values human dignity, protects life, and lives up to the ideals our founding fathers proudly proclaimed. If there's no justice for the people, let there be no peace for the government. Thank you for your time.
All right. I think I had my mic off. All right, this is pretty powerful stuff. It's just sad. It's just unbelievable. It's just, she was shot 5 times. She's a Montessori teacher. She teaches preschool kids. She's a Montessori teacher. She's an American. She's a first-generation American. And so, yeah, why is anyone shooting someone 5 times? Now, they alleged and they testified in court, the ICE dude that she named. Thank you. I unmuted. Thanks. I muted because I was getting feedback when she was testifying, when I had her video up. Anyway, thank you. So, Montessori teacher, first generation American, later, the ICE agent lied, and they've proven this because all charges against her have been dismissed. I don't know if they're charging him with lying, but they alleged that she rammed them when they confiscated her car, they impounded her car, her truck. And she said at one point, I don't know if you caught that, I almost had my truck paid off. There was no way I was gonna, smoking like a real Latina. Yeah, it's like, don't mess with our cars. She said there was no way I was gonna ram anybody. They rammed her, and they proved it. They had a shot of her car. Someone took a picture of her truck, and they hit her, but they lied and said that she hit them, and that's why he shot her 5 times. And wow, what a freaking miracle that she was shot 5 times and she didn't die. And then the harrowing story of her going to emergency room and them just putting some band-aids on her, bandages, and just trying to drag her, to detention when she was still bleeding. And finally, an FBI agent stepped in and took her to they had pulled her out of the emergency room, took her to another hospital. But they were waiting outside her door like big black widow spiders, and Shelob, and arrested her. But now she's been to court. All of the parents and everybody from her Montessori school where she teaches all came and testified and sent in letters to the judge. The judge released her on her own recognizance. They tried to make a big deal out of the fact that she had an illegal weapon holstered, and not her the little holster button was still in place. But they tried to say, oh, no, she attacked us. Same lies. And she survived. But she's got post-traumatic stress syndrome now, you can tell. And I just don't understand, why are they doing this? I mean, why are they doing this? I see, Stephen Nosferatu Miller, has told them to go arrest people, and they have quotas to arrest so many people every day. But why shoot young women and innocent young school teachers? It's just mind-boggling. So I appreciate all you guys for being here, and thank you for the people that are here. And I will post this whole live shot on my site. Please subscribe. My name is Gloria Moraga. I am a longtime political reporter. Was a political reporter for years. Worked on Capitol Hill in Washington. Worked here in California at the state legislature. So was television managing editor for ABC Sacramento, and covered the Capitol as a reporter and then as a managing editor as well. So I have a long time political area of expertise. So that's what I do. I covered Congress for 10 years and the Supreme Court. So I have one more video I would like to play, even though it seems like there's a delay on the audio. I could try to fix that later, but I'll make sure that whatever is going on, I'll try to upgrade before I'm going to try to go live again tonight. I want to go live like this guy that I was watching last night. He's a political guy. He's called the Political Punk. I don't know if you guys ever watch him. He's a hoot. But yeah, I want to go and just chat about what's going on. A lot happened today. A lot happened. So I'm getting some sort of a thing here on my computer. I'm on my desktop. I'm on my laptop, and it's not. I'm not quite sure what's happening. So the final soundbite, and I want to say too, these 3 sound bites are all American citizens. Okay, they're all legally here. They were born here. They're all legal citizens. This next guy, his name is Daniel Rascon, and what struck me about him was he began to cry right away. And I don't know, there's just something about a guy crying because he could tell what happened to him and his father-in-law. And I mean, he was arrested as well, but he's American. He didn't do anything wrong. And all these three people who were beaten and, manhandled and brutalized and shot 5 times, they were all had charges dismissed. So none of them, all the things that ICE did to them was bullshit. It was just bullshit. So sorry, God, it's just so infuriating. So this is Daniel Rascon. It's not as long as the two ladies, but he does talk about what happened to him, and he did testify on Capitol Hill yesterday. So it's going to take me a second. I'm going to go to videos. I've got the other lady's video up. I'm going to have to move his video up. So I'm on OBS. So here he is.
My name is Marimar Martinez. I am a first-generation
U.S. citizen.
Here's Daniel.
I'm the eldest of 3 brothers and father to a nearly 3-week-old baby girl. I operate a forklift for work and currently have my CDLA license and dental assisting certification. I'm no celebrity, but I am loved by many in my community, and there are many that I love and I'm thankful for. The morning of August 16th, 2025 would quickly become unforgettable, especially because my future father-in-law, Francisco Longoria, wanted me to run an errand with him and his son, Jonathan, when all I really wanted to do was just sleep in. We took Jonathan's truck with him sitting in the passenger seat, Francisco driving, and me sitting behind Francisco, when we were just 2 minutes away from home. At 8:49 a.m., 2 unmarked trucks suddenly boxed in our car. I had been looking down at my phone, but when our car abruptly stopped, I looked up thinking we must be at a red light or in a traffic jam. But to my surprise, I was instead met with four men in face masks, sunglasses, and baseball caps, and guns drawn, pointing straight at us, walking towards our car. These 4 men then tried forcing their way into our car by pulling on the handles, pounding on the windows, and yelling at us to roll down the windows, all while failing to answer our repeated requests for their identification and what they wanted. I did not know who these men were. They were refusing to identify themselves, and the only thing I felt I could control was capturing this event by recording it on my cell phone. There were 2 men on either side of the car, and they were not wearing any uniform. I could not tell who these men surrounding our car with guns were. We again asked them to show identification and why they were approaching us with so much aggression. Only seconds after they started pounding on the windows, one of the men broke its driver's side window, punched Francisco in the face, and began reaching into the car. At the same time, a man on the other side of the car broke the passenger window where Jonathan was sitting and began reaching into the vehicle. They shattered the windows, and in that moment, the whole world felt like it was the size of the inside of our pickup. And we were sitting in harm's way with nothing to do but record the horrifying experience. Terrified for our lives, Francisco bravely drove straight through the only open pathway down the street, hoping to be driving towards safety, when we were instead met with gunfire. After we had passed the men, one of the 4 men attempted to murder us after we passed by, as he fired and made contact with the passenger side of our car multiple times. I will never forget the fear and having to quickly duck my head as the shots were fired at the car. Any one of those bullets could have killed me or 2 people that I loved. We narrowly escaped as pieces of glass fell on our heads as we drove down the bumpy road. 3 minutes changed our lives forever. The incident began at 8:49 a.m. and we were home by 8:52 a.m. We left home that morning with the truck in good condition, but we returned home with the, I'm sorry, hold on. What is that? We were in, sorry, I lost myself here. Yes. We were home by 8:52 a.m. Left that morning with the truck in good condition, but we returned home with the truck that had 2 shattered windows and bullet holes. We then called 911 to report that 4 men who were hiding their identity assaulted and shot at us. By 9 a.m., a police helicopter was flying over our property. Next thing we know, local officers showed up at our home, handcuffed Francisco, put him in the officer's car, and began individually questioning us. The officers then allowed the same 4 men who had just attacked us to come to our home. Those 4 men were asked to identify who they were looking for, but they had zero idea as to who they were even targeting. Pointing to me as the driver, these masked men had just shot at us, and they were now in our home, treating us as the people who had done something wrong. The man who shot at us went to my future brother-in-law, asked him questions about the video we took of their attack, and lied, saying those were not shots. When the officers left our home almost 3 hours later, we were told that the FBI would continue the investigation. However, almost immediately after the officers left our home, 2 men walked up to our gate and told us to let them in. We could immediately tell this was not the FBI, but instead ICE and HSI agents. The HSI agent then said, "Is he here?" But they never clarified who he was. I said we were told the FBI would be coming and we would be waiting for them to arrive. The HSI agent looked at me and said, "For all intents and purposes, we are the FBI." As time passed, more and more ICE and HSI agents arrived in unmarked vehicles with no license plates. They had gear on and walked around our home with submachine guns, assault rifles, and holstered pistols, making sure to keep their hands on their weapons for fast drawing. The agents blocked every exit out of our home and shut the entire block of our neighborhood. More than 20 HSI ICE agents and more than 30 police officers were brandishing weapons ranging from paintball guns to a manned drone, flying and mapping out the layout of our home. Our home that used to be our safe place, now being used as a weapon against us to trap us and take advantage of our surroundings. Once the agents finished asking us questions and watching our recordings of the terrifying event, they left, but we no longer felt safe. We didn't feel like we could leave our home or operate normally in the world. How do you move on from knowing someone tried to kill you and people you love for no reason? Then just 2 weeks later, on August 28th, 2025, I was sleeping on the couch when I was woken up at 4 a.m. by horrified family members telling me that men were entering our property through our gate and surrounding our entire home. These men had weapons, were wearing night vision goggles, and utilizing a bright green laser beam from their assault rifles. An armored truck was in front of our house, and one of the men used a megaphone to announce we needed to come outside of our home with our hands up. Our hearts were racing, and we tried getting everyone in the house awake since it was the middle of the night. Again, we were placed in a position of pure terror and did not know what to do. We called our lawyers because we did not understand what was happening. But then the men breached our front doors by breaking the locks and yelling that we needed to come out of the house with our hands up. The agents pointed the bright lasers attached to their rifles at each of us inside the home. They even pointed their weapon at my fiancée, who was pregnant at the time. We kept telling them she was pregnant and we would comply. I was surrounded and trapped in a room full of the ones I love and fearing for every single one of our lives. We kept asking for a warrant, and eventually they showed one, and we listened to their commands. Francisco was in his sleeping attire, and we begged them to allow us to give him a shirt and socks since it was cold outside, and we did not know where they were taking him or what they would do to him. We then watched as they took him away, breaking our hearts. Eventually, Francisco went in front of a federal judge who validated that the incident was scary to watch from the recording inside our vehicle. Despite the lies and misinformation given by the agents, the judge believed our truth, and eventually the federal charges were dismissed. However, Francisco was taken to immigration custody and held for 3 months, where he had to endure horrible conditions. Months later, Francisco was released on bond and able to witness the birth of his first grandchild, my daughter. Yet our fight for justice is not over. We will carry this incident with us forever. Thank you, Senator Blumenthal and Senator Garcia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rascon. Mr. Stoughton.
Thank you. Garcia, members and staff. My name is Seth Stoughton. I'm a law professor at the University.
Okay, I turned on my mic.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that's 3 stories, ICE stories from hell. 3 American citizens terrorized by ICE, terrorized by masked agents. They don't even know who they are, these masked agents, because they're masked and they don't identify themselves. They pull out their weapons. They shoot first, like they shot the woman 5 times. There's no oversight. They're just running amok. The judge who ordered the little boy who was kidnapped from Minnesota, Liam, he quoted the Constitution, the judge that said you must release this little boy and his dad. He quoted from the 4th Amendment, and we have a right to be secure in our homes. I mean, that's like, where's your warrant? Where's your probable cause? They didn't have any of that when they went to the home of this gentleman. And it's like 3 people, okay? One woman, the disabled woman, going to the doctor and trying to get through and didn't want to go down that street. And they told her to go down that way and then yanked her out of the car. The second woman, the Montessori school teacher, also, she got up that morning. She said she did not want to go out, but she promised herself that she would do some cleaning and was going to go down to the church and donate some of her good used clothing for the poor. So that's why she went out and was shot 5 times. They lied, said that she rammed their car when the car clearly shows that they rammed her, and then shot her. Then they mocked her and laughed at her and took still photos of her and were texting each other back and forth. It's scumbags. And this gentleman here, and their lives are, forever changed. And I just, why? So 2 things happening, a number of things happening. One, Congress is negotiating for ICE funding. Democratic lawmakers need to understand in no uncertain terms that we want this bullshit to stop, that they need to stop this. ICE still has funding, enough funding for the next 4 years. They have billions of dollars in their budget. Hold over, this is money that was in the big, ugly, beautiful bill. So you do not need any more money. They're building more prisons, and every day more and more stories come out. I have a whole file, if I ever get my computer back from the shop, on all the prisons that they're trying to build in this country. And all that prison money is in that beautiful bill. And it's going to private construction companies that build prisons. And they're building all these prisons all over the United States. For what? If they're want to deport the worst of the worst, then deport them. We don't need to have a new prison complex being run by these monsters. No, let's see who they are and let's go through the system and have their day in court. And then if they're here illegally and they're monsters, killers and murderers, then let's deport them. Why do we have to build more prisons? And I'll tell you why right now. Because Tom Holman took that $50,000 worth of cash in the brown bag, and then Trump's DOJ dismissed all the charges. Because they're all in cahoots together with our tax dollars building these prisons so they can imprison children. And they're not the worst of the worst. So that's what's going on in the next 2 weeks. We have to all be vigilant and stop this. And then the real big thing that Trump's trying to stop is free and fair elections in November. So we've got 9 months to gear up for that. And that's why I'm here every day trying to grow my channel so that we can get the word out. This is not just business as usual anymore. We have to get the word out that this election is important, and we can't let they're planning, they're having dry runs right now so that they can stop us from voting. And we can't let that happen. And it's important that people vote. People say, it doesn't matter if I vote. My vote doesn't mean anything. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And right now, Republicans are scared because they all think they're going to be voted out. And they are if they don't stop this. So we have to send that message. So thank you for being here. I hope this brought some value to you. I will be here every day posting live and posting videos. So yeah, not to get into all my personal woes, but my C drive on my big computer, my big desktop that I built myself. So I know how to install a new C drive or new hard drive. But I need an SSD. I need a faster one. It's been crashing, and so I took it into the shop. I put a 2 terabyte SSD in that tower, and I want them to make that my operating system. And anyway, so I'm now on my laptop now that's older and it's not as fast. But I know I can do some things to make it a little bit faster for that lag for the audio. But I might just go live off my phone. I was doing some tutorials on that, and I just want to share the sound bites with you because these sound bites are so powerful. Yeah, SSD, if you're editing videos, and I try to edit, post videos every day. I mean, a lot of times I use Adobe. I'm just editing videos on my phone and posting shorts, but I like doing the longer videos and like being here actually doing the lives and presenting these longer sound bites. There's a lot going on today. There's all the stuff with the Epstein files, which Trump and the DOJ are saying, it's over. We don't need to have any more released. Well, I mean, if they're going to do that, then what we need to do is just encourage the Congress to go after the files that are in the Epstein. His brother has access to all these files. So we need to have the brother go after them because these guys that are older now, who cares, that abused young people need to be arrested and charged. And Trump won't do it. But if we get another Congress in November, and then, if we can get rid of Trump, because who knows what they're trying to do stuff. We can prosecute some of these monsters that feel that it's okay for them to hurt our children. No, it's not. So yeah, Trump's saying, "Oh, the Epstein files, it's over. DOJ has other work to do." What? Steal the election? Go down to they went down to Georgia and took voting documents. The dude, man, the old dude, cannot get over it. You lost, man, and it's so over. But he's doing this so that he can put ICE agents, and did you hear Bannon? Bannon, by the way, that stinky, dirty man. He's always looked dirty, don't you think? He's out spewing that we're going to have ICE agents at every polling booth. When people vote, ICE agents are going to be there. What? What? And the Constitution says that states are responsible for elections, not the federal government. The federal government has no role in elections. That's clear. That's clear in the Constitution. And somebody needs to stand up against these guys. So it's got to be us because, nobody's coming to save us. We just have to do it ourselves and be loud and call out the scumbags who hurt little children. And so there's the Epstein files. There's Congress blabbing this morning about, we're going to negotiate for this ICE funding and make them take off their masks. And, now Christy Puppy Killer Gnome is saying, they'll all wear body cameras. Yeah, they'll wear body cameras, but then what are they going to do with the video after, they abuse people? So we still all need to have our phones out. And there's just so much going on. Washington Post, that horrible, nasty guy that owns Amazon, firing everybody at the Washington Post. And, we knew it was coming. And all the reporters are on social media saying, I got fired. And it's like, you knew this was coming. You knew when Bezos bought the Post that he was going to start firing people. I feel bad for the warehouse workers at Amazon who, are doing an honest day's work and really working hard, and he's just disgusting. And I always say to people, look, I was the biggest shopper in the history of mankind on Amazon. I don't shop. You can't do it, man. We got to boycott. No Amazon. And my grandkids, my daughter, they got my Amazon number, and it's like, I blocked it, I killed it, I deleted it. No, we're not watching anything on Amazon. We're not shopping at Amazon. And I canceled my subscription to the Washington Post a long time ago when he bought it, and it's like it killed me. It hurt because I lived in Washington for years, and I considered that my newspaper, but not anymore. We can't support these people. They're monsters. So this is Political News. I'm Gloria Moraga, a longtime political reporter here, I post every day in some form, doing more live, trying to get it worked out. Thank you. The deportation show and the economic growth, that's another thing that came out today, big time. The economy, it's a disaster, dude. It's the freaking tariffs are killing us, and we knew they would. And if money is coming in, it's not anybody else's money, it's our money. Okay, we're paying the tariffs. It's a tax, and it's really hurting businesses. Manufacturing growth is way down. I mean, that really is a big story. It's like building these prisons is another big story that nobody talks about. But yeah, Trump doesn't know. I mean, that people think because he was on some television show that he knows anything about business. He knows nothing about business. He has bankrupted every business he's ever touched. Everything he touched dies. And look at the beloved Kennedy Center. It's gonna be gone, man. They're shuttering it for 2 years. They're gonna fix it up. Oh, come on, man. That building doesn't need any fixing up. All right, it was fine the way it is. Everybody canceled their subscription because Trump took over, and he's gonna put all kinds of bullshit in there that nobody wants to see. So it's another thing he's touched that's died. Where's the East Wing of the White House? When Melania is talking about, I work at the East Wing, it's gone, man. And what are they doing? When are they going to fix it? They're blocking him because he's a menace. Honestly, all kidding aside and all anger aside, the man has mental issues. Mental issues. He goes after, women, reporters, and he doesn't know what he's talking about. He calls the wrong countries of different things. And everyone's afraid of him, so they don't correct him. He talks about people released into this country from insane asylums when people were just seeking asylum, which is a totally different thing. He talks about how he's going to bring prices down 1,000%. There's no such thing as 1,000%. There can only be lowering it by 100%, and then that means it's zero. I don't know math, but I know that. So, time to be vigilant. Please subscribe. Please follow me. I'll be back. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you all so much. Thanks for letting me know that I didn't have my mic on, and thanks for the economic growth. He's ruining the economy, man. Honestly, whatever you want to say about Joe Biden, he brought us back from COVID. And our economy at that time, yes, prices were high. We had inflation, but we had the best economy in the world post-pandemic, and Trump's destroyed it in a couple of months. He doesn't know what he's doing, and I don't know. I don't know about you, but my groceries are really high. Everything is really high, and it's ridiculous. And rich people are getting richer, and we're all getting poorer. So we have to fight. And I am Gloria Moraga. This is Political News. Please subscribe, and thanks for being here. I really appreciate you being here. Thanks. See you later. I'll be back later tonight. I'm going to try to do a late live